In this video, I'm going to show you guys a couple quick tips and tricks on using your Xero extension pole and setting up your water-fed brush. Your Xero extension pole is going to be comprised of 6 separate sections. You can see them separated by these clamps here, and it can extend up to 30 feet in total. Your first section, which will have the section number 1 written on it, is for holding your water-fed brush and scrubbing pad. To open this up, all you do is just open up your clamp, make sure that your pole is in there completely, then clamp that down. If you look closely at how I clamped that, it's not going down super easy, but it's also not super tight where it's hard to clamp down. This should be snug, but you don't want your clamps to be super tight. If you look closely here at one of these clamps, you can see that you are able to loosen or unloosen your clamp here. So if you turn it to the right, it will make it very hard to clamp down. If you turn it to the left, it'll make it very loose. There's a nice happy medium where it's snug, but it's not going to move around a ton. You can see right here, my section is moving around super easily. That probably means that my next clamp down is not tight enough. So again, you don't want it to be way too tight where the clamps can break, but you also don't want it to be loose because that will affect your cleaning. When you're using your water-fed pole, 90% of the time you are going to have the pole extended and you're going to be using it for higher up windows. There's a lot of weight between the water, the hose, and your brush and scrub pad at the top. So when I'm undoing these clamps to let the hose down, I'm going to let them down very slowly so these clamps do not smash into one another. If I let it down super fast and it smashes into that clamp, it's actually going to break it, and these cost a lot of money to replace. So whenever you're using your pole, you just want to make sure that you slide those down very carefully. I like to catch in my hand before letting it down. Another common mistake I see when extending your pole initially, especially with new technicians, is that they don't extend it out far enough. Some people only extend it out a few feet and then use each one of these sections like this. You end up getting a lot top heavy this way when you're not extending out the sections completely, and it's going to make it a lot more difficult than it needs to be. And each one of these sections can extend out 5 full feet. You'll see this red mark is where you're supposed to stop. So you always want to extend it perfectly to this edge of the red there and make sure that you're extending each section out to the maximum distance that it can go. I'm going to show you guys how to change the angle of your water-fed nylon brush. You can see here that this attachment will go directly down into the pole, and we are going to be cleaning our windows at this angle the entire time. If you want to adjust your angle to be down or up, this is possible. You just have to adjust these 3 pieces here. So most of these systems will have a wing nut attached. You can just undo by hand, and then from there you can actually adjust your water-fed brush to whichever angle you'd like, and you can adjust your scrubber pad to another angle. I try to get the most universal angle possible that will work for most second story cleaning where you will be using this. That way you don't have to change it around super often. I find that having it angled slightly up in both directions like this, where our pole will be going directly down, is the best way where you're not going to have to do this super often. Because again, everything takes time, and we don't want to be adjusting our pole angle for every single window. So I'm just going to make sure that these are tight and that those notches are lining up. And then from there, I'm just going to tighten this wing nut the tightest that I can get by hand. It doesn't have to be crazy, as long as it's not loose and these are staying still.